Today we're going to discuss the technical foul, specifically to the adult recreational basketball league. This doesn't apply to other leagues, mostly adult basketball. The standard for a technical foul should be the concept of demeaning, meaning something's occurring that's demeaning to the players, to the referee, or to the game in general. When a player on the court's demeaning in that manner, you as a referee do not have the right to just ignore it. A lot of referees, especially kind of early on in their career, they think it's cool to rise above the technical foul or rise above the warning and let it bounce off their back. But the problem is you're not doing your job. Your job as an official is to keep the game in control. And when a player goes outside of the rules of the game, we're not talking about questioning calls. Questioning calls is great. It gives you an opportunity to explain why you called it. We're talking about when the player demeans the referee or the game. You can't rise above it or be cooler than the technical foul or be the guy that says, I never have to throw tees because I'm so cool. That guy actually hurts the league because you're not putting the player in check that needs to be put in check for the quality of that game. Also, the player is not being educated as to what's right and wrong for future games. So a lot of the refs that you do see with strict warnings and strict tees, they're making the league great. They're making that game better, but they're also making that player kind of understand what's right and wrong for future games. And those refs are kind of valued by us. But back to the referee that this is for, kind of teaching that you have to start going with warnings and tees. You have to understand it's really important. It's part of your job. The progression of a technical is part of the problem that we're seeing. So I'm going to explain to you how to throw a technical foul in sort of a progression. Number one, the first thing you do when a player demeans the game is you take a deep breath, replay it in your head, and if you're sure you heard what you heard or saw what you saw, or more importantly, your gut told you something, usually it's in the stomach, something turns, didn't feel right, take a big breath so you're not rushing into it, hit your whistle, take another breath or two, and then calmly state what you have, which is a warning, or if it was deep enough, a technical foul. Then take another breath or two, and then calmly communicate with your partner where the ball's coming in bounds or switch, and start to administer the play. Administering the play could be just simply inbounding the ball, or in the case of a technical, it's getting it's administering the free throws on the technical. The key there is that you have a progression. It's a calm, then it's a whistle, then you're calm, and then you verbally state what you're doing, and then you go about your business with whether you're shooting the free throws or inbounding. Now the progression goes further. If that same player, let's say you went with the warning, if that same player later in the game, maybe a couple minutes later, did the same thing and you were already at warning phase, your next progression is the same thing, but you have to upgrade it. So if you went with the warning the first time, then you hit the whistle, take your breath, calm down, and go with the technical, and so on. Now the progression gets a little different when you start to deal with that same exact player a third time. So the same exact player, you've already gone with the warning, now you've gone with the tee, and then you decided on this third one, he's going to get either a second tee and an ejection or another warning. You do have the option to go with the warning. You do not, as a referee, absolutely do not have the option to rise above it or to skip it or to be the cool guy. You have to do something every time someone on the court is violating the sportsmanship rules or demeaning the game. Every time someone on the court makes your stomach turn with the way they said something, what they said, or how they played, or the danger that they put on other players, you have to do something. So let's say on the third violation you decide to go back to warning. Now you've given this guy a warning, a tee, and a warning, and inbound the ball, same progression as the other ones. If it's the fourth time, or for most refs, the third time would be more than enough to get the second tee, you go with the second tee. But here's the key. Blow your whistle, take your breaths, think about it, analyze the situation. Is this player completely out of control and going to charge you or something weird like that? I don't think that's going to happen. But if there's any risk of that, or even if the tee isn't understood by the guy you're going to give it to, like the guy or girl is just going to go ballistic, they don't even know what they're doing out there, then walk over to your partner before calling a technical and come together as a team and discuss it. Your partner should walk to you and calm you down, and the partner now says to you, what do you got? You explain what you got. Your partner calmly, without rushing, just listens, repeats it back, and then you two decide on what you're going to do. If it's a technical foul, you calmly, as a team, issue second technical foul, number 33 is ejected, and then you just stand there. And this is part of the problem. A lot of refs are getting emotional and you're out of here and leave the gym and all this stuff. It's just simply second technical foul, number 33 has been disqualified. We're not saying Bob's been disqualified, and we're not saying you're out of here. You is a personal term. You is a human to a human, and you don't want that. You want this interaction to be referee, a guy in stripes, to a player. In fact, we won't even say a player, number 33. And by doing it that way, you take the personality out of it, and you take the feeling that you're picking on them or that it's personal. You take that out of it because you're a guy in stripes and he's number 33. So it's second technical foul on number 33, black. He's been disqualified. And those are calmer words, those are more professional words than you're out of here or get out of the gym or that sort of thing. So you can see there's a certain way to do this. Again, I'm going to restate this ejection. Don't just eject the player, hit your whistle, calmly walk to your partner, discuss what's going to happen, and then the two of you will announce the technical foul on the number, not the player's name, and say he's been disqualified. Again, I want to go back to this. Stay where you're at. Don't start running all over the gym and hustling and inbounding the ball. Let this thing breathe. In any conflict, I guess if you're in police training or if you're in any conflict really, you're always taught not to rush because people need to have that second to catch their breath. They need to have the time to process things. So even as referees, when you make the ejection, you both can stand there in the same spot for 8 seconds. And then one of you can slowly go out and get the ball inbounded. The other one slowly rotates to the baseline. But everything has to be slow and drawn out because our job as referees is to keep control, but it's also to keep control of ourselves as well. Now, the last point I want to go back to is the partner. You know, you got yourself that I'm talking to you and you've now done the warning, you've done the tee, you threw in an extra warning, which you might not needed to, and finally as a team, you did the second tee, which was an ejection. Okay, I want to go back to what the partner's doing that whole time. If you are the partner and you just saw your partner, we have a real strong ref at Cascade College or the courts that are known for kind of handling their business with players. If you're the partner and you didn't do anything and you made that guy do all of it, including the ejection, and all you did was just kind of stand there, you're not doing your job. Both referees are to be involved in these situations. It's called dividing the heat. So remember that concept, divide the heat. There's no way one referee should have all the heat on him or her. So if referee Jason, we'll call it as an example, referee Jason throws the first warning and it's kind of conflictual and it's not really received real well, the other referee needs to come in and divide the heat. Now there's two ways to do that. One is you totally agree with Jason and you come in and say the same exact thing real aggressively so that people aren't sure who warned who and you've divided the heat. Okay? But the other option, and this is rare, this is only going to be 1 out of 20 times, you may actually disagree with your partner. Your partner may kind of have read the situation wrong or be out of line. That should never you should not be in disagreement that often. But if it happens, be honest, don't lie, and say, hey look, we're just going to, don't put your partner down, but you don't have to agree with your partner. There's still a way to be supportive without agreeing. If you agree and you know it's false, you know the move was wrong, that's not right. So what you do in that situation is, hey guys, let's go. We still got 44 minutes. There's a lot of playing time. It's one call. It's going to cost you 2 points. You say the type of things that let people know, hey, even if you disagree with the guy, let's get the game going. Let's just keep playing. Let's keep things in perspective. I got your back. You're in that sense, you're not really making your partner feel like he's on an island, and you're not making fun of your partner, even if you disagree with it. You're just letting the players know, let's just get going. You know, let's get this ball inbound. So dividing the heat comes in two ways. Either you totally support your partner and the players are now mad at both of you. Or you just get the ball going. One of the more common things is to just get the ball inbounded. Just start yelling, "Let's go, fellas, the warning's been issued, red ball," and you're that guy. You're the guy kind of getting everybody moving and getting the focus off of your partner and onto you. That's what the partner does during those progressions of warning, technical foul, warning, ejection. The reasons that you have to use that progression is because it's tried and true. I mean, when people create these policies from a million basketball games over the last 50 years, and this is the standard way you go about things in a calming or enforcement situation, they're there for a reason. They're tried and true. So the reason you should follow a progression is because everybody's done it a certain way, and either it works or doesn't work. And we've seen a lot of situations where the refs make up their own enforcement. They just tell players to play on or shut up, or that stuff doesn't work at all. You have to be a robot, you have to be a referee, and come out of there with a warning, eventually come out of there with a technical foul, maybe another warning, two refs get together, ejection. You have to do things like a robot. You don't just get to make stuff up. There's a real process to this. But let me tell you more about the reasons for the game itself, why you want to do this. Number one, you just put a player in check that kind of, believe it or not, wants to be put in check. Because no player wants to show up to the gym and be grumpy. They want to be put back in their place and told to focus on the game through the warning or technical, and they will focus on the game. And afterwards, 99 out of 100 times, they're going to come to you and say, "Thanks for getting me back in line." So you're helping the player. Number two, you're helping the other players. Because if one guy starts complaining like a maniac, next thing you know, both refs are calling too many fouls and the whole game's ruined. You don't want to have to call a billion fouls just to accommodate this one guy that's ruining it. The next thing is you're helping the league, because that same player won't act that way for the next 20 games. So we have guys in our league, in our adult league, certain referees that are like, they're so strict that they make all the games better, even the ones they're not in. How? It's because they had that guy and that guy and that guy and that girl and that guy, and they got them in line so where in future games that those players played, they played better. They didn't ruin other games. And so you go to our league and you'll see a good game, and it could be with two refs that aren't pulling their weight, but the reason that game went well isn't because of those two refs, it's because they had the tougher refs earlier. And so the reason to do this isn't just to make your hour better, it's to make those players better for future games. So you're doing it for future games that you're not even reffing. The main reason that you cannot ignore or rise above bad situations on your court is the concept of buildup. And this is the most urgent reason. If you skip stuff and you let a player belittle your call and demean your call, and you say something back the second time, you skip the third, you say something back, all of a sudden by the fourth quarter you've created your own monster. And that player will now turn on you. It doesn't happen a lot, maybe once every couple of weeks, but if you're that type of ref, it happens where all of a sudden that player will just turn on you in a big moment in the game, and it'll be a big turn, like to where they may ball up their fist, or they may go wild, or they may do something that's just absolutely crazy. And then the ref comes to me and says, maybe this guy needs suspended. Well, that would have never happened had you warned him in the first 5 minutes, teed him on the 8th minute, and warned him on the 14th minute. None of this would have happened. And what we're seeing, it's cyclical, so it happens from time to time. It's happening this week, that's why we're creating this video series, is crazy fourth quarter blow-ups. But they're all traceable, every one of them, to refs who aren't warning or giving tees. They're making up their own mind on how they want to handle stuff instead of using standard protocol.